If you're new to the Momcozy Air 1 and wondering how to use it, stick around. In this video. I am going to walk you through everything from the different components to assembly to cleaning to how to use your pump with the Momcozy app. Everything you need to know to pump confidently while using your Momcozy Air 1 wearable breast pump. So let's get started and take a quick look at the different components that make up this wearable breast pump. So just bear with me while I disassemble this. Okay, so we only have 6 components to this pump, so it is nice and simple. First of all, you have your pump motor. This also comes with 4 buttons on the top. You'll also see a L or a R. This is for your left or right pump, so you know which one you are using. To turn it on, you simply hold the power button on for 3 seconds. You have your plus and minus for increasing your suction levels, and you have a button here for changing the mode. Next, you have your collection container. So this is up to 6 ounces, but that will be quite at capacity. Recommended around 5. You'll want to look at emptying this. You have your valve, you have a diaphragm, you have the backing of your collection cup, and have a 24mm flange. Within your set, you will also have 3 different sized flange inserts, a 17, 19, and a 21. You can tell the sizing as it is written on the flange on the side. You also have a set of dust covers, which are fantastic because it is quite easy to get a little bit of fluff and static on your flanges, so protecting them during your pumping sessions is great, especially if you've just cleaned them. You have 2 different power cords. You have your USB-C for charging your rechargeable case, and then you have your magnetic USB for charging the pump directly if you would like. And then you also have your hard shell carry case, which is also rechargeable. There's a USB slot there, which is fantastic. So that is essentially the parts that come with your pump. How do they all go back together? I'll show you in a second. First of all, at this point, really important to say, before you go to use your pump, you are going to want to wash all the parts that come in contact with breast milk. So your pump motor does not come in contact with breast milk. This does not need to be washed. We will put that aside. All the parts that need to be washed are your flange, your collection container, and the valves, and if you are using a flange insert. Wash these in warm soapy water and then rinse them off. Let them dry, air dry on a nice clean cloth. Really important that it's clean and that we let them air dry so bacteria does not harbor. We also need to sterilize at least once a day. Now, Momcozy recommends the boiling method, so boiling these after they've been washed for around 5 minutes. If you do choose to use a sterilizer, make sure that it is on a setting less than 110 degrees Celsius. Temperatures over that will damage your pump parts. You can also use sterilizing options like a Milton tablet. They are fantastic if you want a really nice, easy option. And in between uses, you can use things like breast pump wipes. So hopefully that helps. Let's have a look now, once our pump parts are all cleaned and sterilized, how it goes back together. You're going to want to take the backing of your collection container, we are going to attach the valve. Now you can see here the flap here goes over the opening there, so it doesn't go out like that. You want to make sure that it goes in, pointing down, simply clicks into place. At the back here we have your slot for your diaphragm. Make sure that the lid is on, that is pushed nice and firm in place. Then we can attach this to our collection container. Again, push it in nice and firm. You may hear it clip in. We're going to put the lid on the pouring spout. Then we can attach our pump motor that simply pushes into place. And then we have our 24mm flange that we are simply going to push in. Now we are ready to pump. I highly recommend you get the Momcozy app. It will connect your pumps. It's very straightforward, easy to connect your pumps. I won't go through that section. I do have a separate video on how to use the app, but I will give you a quick rundown while we're here. So I have my left and right connected. I will click on one of those pumps. The pumps need to be on, so you turn them on by pressing the power button for 3 seconds. And then we can go through the app. It's not as great on the tablet, just to make note. It's a little bit clunky, but we can run through it and you can see what options. You have the power option to turn your pump on and off. There's the play button to get started pumping. You can choose which pump you would like to work on, or you can also link both of your pumps so they are doing the same thing on both sides. So you have an auto option, a manual, and a customize. So we can, let's say we're going to go manual. We can start in stimulation, expression, or a mixed mode. Within that, we can also choose what suction level we would like to go by pressing the plus or the minus. And then for how long we want our pumping session to run for. If we prefer to go auto, this will run it through for us on the preferred settings, or we can come across here and do a custom. Now, love the custom. There are 2 pre-built pumping modes in here that you can choose from. And as you can see, so it's got 2 minutes on the on the stimulation, then 8 minutes on the expression, and then 2 minutes on the stimulation, and it follows that pattern. It's a bit like power pumping, milk relief. It's shorter on your expression modes, or you can come in and create your own custom mode, which is fantastic because in here you can also choose your frequency on how fast you want those pump cycles to be. So if you're somebody that responds to a slower, deeper suction, you can choose the slow. You can go up to fast if you respond better to those more stimulation type suctions. You can also adjust your suction levels in here, choose how long you want to go on each of these patterns, and then have a play around. So there's a lot of customization available within your app. So I'll cancel that. Let's just go back for the moment. So once we have our session, we can go confirm. It will activate your pump. Now I had this set for the right side only. If I want to join them, now both pumps are pumping together. You can hear that it's actually, I should actually just do one at a time. Okay, I've got one going so it's not too noisy. If I put that as if it's on my breast, you can hear it's quite quiet, which is another plus about the Air 1. So let's put this on pause. I will show on here as well, it does track your warm milk. So on here, it will also track how much milk you have. You can also manually add that in if this is not quite correct. Up to you if you want to be doing your tracking. Now, if you do not have the app and you want to use your pump manually, you can switch between your modes. The trick though will be listening to hear what mode you are on. So this is your short, sharp suctions. This is your stimulation. And you can hear the difference with the expression, the longer drawn out. And then if I press the mode again, you'll have your shorter suctions followed by a longer one for the mix mode. And then you can adjust your suction levels up and down with the plus and minus. Unfortunately, there is no LED screen. So if you are not using the app, you really do just have to listen for the sounds to see what mode you are on, and then count up and down to try remember which suction level you're on. So ideally, use this with the app. Now, when we are pumping, so now we've run through how to use your pump, you're all ready for your pumping session. What settings should you be on and how do you use your Air 1? Firstly, we're going to want to measure our flange size. Now, Momcozy include a nipple measuring tool, which is fantastic. Use this as a guide and make sure that you are using the right flange insert. Generally speaking, the longer you are in your pumping journey, your nipple size will reduce. So make sure that you are regularly checking on your flange size to make sure it is correct. Too large and it will draw in too much of your nipple, too small and it will be incredibly uncomfortable. Okay, so this is a 24 millimeter. If you need to use a flange insert to make this flange tunnel smaller, it simply slots in, you push it in till it sits nice and flat. That has now reduced my flange size to the size of the flange insert. In this case, it's a 21 millimeter. Okay, so we are ready to pump. We are going to line up our nipples centrally with the flange. Now, this is a little bit tricky to see, but you can see in the tunnel bit where my finger is. Pretend that's your nipple. You want it in nice and centrally so it can move in and out. Once that is in place, we are going to want to secure this with a nice firm fitting pumping bra. You don't want it loose because around the flange here, this is where we're going to get the seal for the suction around our breast. So if it's not fitting right and you have a little bit of an air gap, that potentially will lead to loss of suction and potentially leaks. So make sure this is nice, firm fitting. We're going to run through our pumping session. Ideally, you will start on a stimulation, whether that's 2 minutes, and then you swap over to an expression, and then depending on what suits you and your body, it is different for everybody. A lot find that they like to go back for a second or a third stimulation mode during their pump, like that milk boost setting that we saw. Have a play around and find what works best for you and your body, especially when you are starting new with your pumping. The other one I will recommend is starting on a lower suction setting. Pumping is also all about comfort. If you are sitting there uncomfortable because you feel like your nipple's getting ripped off, you are not going to have an efficient pumping session. So make sure you start low and then work your way up till you find a setting that's both comfortable and gives you a good output. Run through your pumping session. Anywhere from 15 minutes to 30. It really, again, depends on you and your body. Once you are finished, we're going to turn our pump off. We're going to lean forward slightly and we're going to break the seal between our breast and the flange with our finger and then gently remove the pump. Up the top here to get your milk out, you can see that there is the pouring spout. We're going to remove the cover and then you can pour this into your storage container. If you are doing the milk hack where you simply, or the fridge hack, sorry, where you simply place your parts into the fridge, that is possible. I would simply recommend removing your pump motor, keeping all the parts together. Some mums like to do this so they're not having to wash and clean it in between each use. It can be in the fridge for up to 24 hours, but it will then need to be washed after. And there it is. I think I have covered everything except for charging. So you do have a magnetic charger for this pump. You can simply add it onto the bottom. You'll feel it clip into place that into a USB charger. A pump will run for roughly around 6 sessions off a single charge, around 180 minutes, depending on your settings. Or you can simply place it into your charger. Once this is on, your charging case, I should say, you'll see on the side here that this is fully charged. This will then start charging your pump. Should have the light come on, which might be because I don't have both pieces in there. And this will charge your pump and give you the extended use. To charge your case, you simply push the USB in there and it is a USB. And that will give you several extra days of use off the charging case. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask and I'll do my very best to answer. Cheers.